Welcome back to another episode of the Karter Cast. I'm your host, Karter Baughan. Dylan Wilkerson, he's here with us again. As always, we're doing our recap show. We missed last week's recap. Just like a sad weekend last weekend. It just didn't work out. We're back. We're on video, too. It's not like last time where we had to do audio only. No, we're here. We're on video. You get to see our 720p faces right here live. Dylan, we were talking about it before the recording started. It was a weird weekend, especially for us with the betting wise, especially, but also a weird weekend. We're not going to really do any college football today, but like in the NFL, some stuff happened. Like you won your bets, but you didn't really. You may have finished slightly positive, but you felt like you almost lost. It's a weird weekend.
Yeah, it was weird. Going to football, we don't have, or college football, we don't have to talk about that. But the NFL, a lot of the Texans winning outright. When you look at the box score, the Jaguars outplayed them. Really bad week for Survivor. I'm already out on Survivor. I had Cowboys and really weird. A lot of big upsets, but strangely, I feel like the public did okay. Yeah, Kansas City covering the huge number against the Bears, which they really don't ever do. I don't know who that says more about, but yeah, I'm with you. It just seemed like a very odd weekend, and we even talked about it. Not a great NFL slate this week, a better college slate. But yeah, weird weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And you have these different results, and then there was the first time we finally saw true blowouts today in the NFL. This start of the season. But let's start in the NFL real quick. Let's go to the Chargers-Vikings game. I labeled this the Scott Hansen game. I labeled this, blindly bet the over. The under actually cashed. Total finished at 52. Chargers came out on top in this game in Minnesota. Watching this game, I feel gross about both of these teams.
Expand on that. What makes you feel gross about them?
Because I feel like whether it's coaching. I'll talk the Chargers side. You can't believe in Brandon Staley. Yes, they won this game, but a few lucky bounces won them this game. A couple bobbled. The 4th and 1 calls were horrendous. Horrendous 4th and 1 execution by the Chargers as well. Obviously, they didn't have Eckler in this game. That doesn't help. But when your starting running back only rushes for 12 yards, that's a major concern. You got to do better against average at best Vikings D-line. And on the Vikings side, it just feels like their luck is reversed from last year. Last season, every lucky bounce, every lucky thing that could go their way, bam, was falling right into the Vikings' hands. They won every close game. They had a 13-win record with a negative point differential. Everybody was talking about it. And then now it seems like it's time to pay the dinner bill.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The Vikings 11-0 in one-score games last year. This year 0-3. They've lost all 3 of their first games by 1 score. It has reversed a little bit. The chart, what you said with Staley, going for it on 4th down there in that last Chargers possession. If they didn't get it, if the Vikings win that game, then people were already talking about this guy being let go from his job. This really would have solidified it, because that was something. I love going for it on 4th down, Carter. Little secret between you and I. Love it. I don't care where you're at on the field. But that position, you probably shouldn't do it. What was it? It was 4th and 3 or something. It wasn't even a 4th and 1, I don't think. So that was interesting. The one takeaway, if I were to take one thing from this game, the Vikings have not been able to rush the ball all year. Madison just isn't the back that Cook is. Or maybe Madison was fine when he was a secondary back. But
yeah, because he is clearly not the number 1 guy. And if you blindly look at the box score and you didn't watch the game, you can say, oh, well, he had 20 carries for 93 yards. That's not a bad game. But one, you got to remember, it's against one of the worst rush defenses in the league, a bottom 5 rush defense. And then also, when you at 1st and goal, when you're on the 1, can you give him the ball and will he score? No, he can't. The Panthers have a similar problem with Miles Sanders, but that's a different story. Alexander Madison is not the guy in Minnesota. There's a clear reason why they went and got Cam Akers. If Cam Akers can show up he's average, solid, that does change the trajectory of this Vikings team. But 0-3 is tough to come back from.
Yeah, and the one takeaway that I would literally take away from this is that the Chargers' run defense is that bad. They're so bad that they let the Vikings run for 125 plus yards. And the Vikings haven't done that all season. That's been their weakest point on offense. So I'm still really low on this Chargers team. They offensively, Herbert can pass the ball. They honestly, they resemble the Dolphins a little bit in the fact that they just like to air it out, can't really defend against the run. So yeah, I don't know. Oddly enough, still not really worried about the Vikings. The division's not that tough. I guess the Lions and the Packers are 2-1, but the Packers didn't look great today. Yeah, I'm not too worried about the Vikings right now. Kirk Cousins, a great quarterback, top 5 in the league right now. You can't. And that one interception he had, it wasn't his fault. It was a little tip. He put so many throws right in these little windows where they needed to be. You cannot. There's no more Cousins slander because he has played well.
I'm not even worried. It's not even the Cousins part of it. If you watch these full Vikings games, I think Vikings fans have been screaming that for years too, and maybe former Redskin Commanders fans or whatever. Sorry for the harsh language there. But football team, yeah, the R words. But like the Kirk Cousins isn't the problem. The problem is It's clear. It's the lines, the O line, the D line. The defense is terrible. The defense gives you no chance in these games. The offensive line doesn't give you enough time. And he's just like I said, the luck is reversed. I just don't feel great about either of these teams. It's hard to get excited about an 0-3 team.
So right now, at this point, who do you think finishes with a better record, the Vikings or the Chargers?
I think let me look at the schedule super quick. Vikings.
I'm saying Vikings. I don't even have to look at the schedule.
I'm looking at the schedule right now. Give me Vikings. I think Vikings do finish with a better record, but I would still be surprised if either of these teams made the playoffs, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I would agree.
8 and 9 is kind of staring both of these teams in the face.
Yeah, really hard to get like double-digit wins when you start 0-3. That's for sure.
Because the Vikings, they have to go they have to play at Carolina next week. That should be a win. If that's not a win, it's do or die kitchen sink game for the Vikings next Sunday. Carolina's already toast. Carolina's got no shot. 7 out of 11 defensive players are already gone from Carolina. But all right, let's transition to the blowouts today. We have the Dolphins and the Broncos. We were on the Broncos on the podcast this week. Dolphins win 70-20. So if you didn't watch football today, you got obloed up, you were at church, you had to do this, you were traveling, you weren't able to catch up, and you click on the score app and you're like, what's going on in the league today? What's happening in the NFL? And you see 70-20, you're like, that has to be a typo. Or you're probably thinking, and then you're looking at the box score, like, Raheem Mostert, he's on my bench. How did I not start Raheem Mostert? He had 50 fantasy points. Yes, that may be me. I may have had Raheem Mostert on my bench. That did happen. But anyhow, 70-20. The Broncos, talk about dead. I mean, this is as dead as a dead dog can ever be.
Yeah, and you have to wonder if there's going to be a point where Sean Payton kind of distances himself from Russell Wilson and tries to get somebody else in there.
Stidham, because Stidham's the backup in Denver, right?
I think so, yeah.
Stats department on it, but keep going.
Well, and also, I think Stidham, I don't know why, but I feel like he started with the
Jared
Raiders.
Stidham. No, he was on the Pats, then the Raiders, and now he's on the Broncos. He was McDaniel's guy, but now he's on the Broncos. There is a real shot Jared Stidham starts next week. Go ahead.
You're exactly right. And even so, I got the Broncos Dolphins game. I was looking at all the stats. The Broncos on paper, not that bad of a team. And obviously 50 point wins are a bit of an anomaly. We saw all the stats that the last time that a team scored 70 plus points was like in the 50s. So I don't really know. I don't know what happened here today. The Broncos defense is better than that. But we could see Stidham soon because Sean Payton may want to start distancing himself from Russell. And I don't think that is a bad idea.
I think he has to.
Yeah.
I think he has to. This will go down as one of the most disaster trades in NFL history.
Oh, yeah.
A close second may be the Panthers if they finish with the second overall pick or something like that and somehow don't win a game or whatever, and Drake May or Caleb Williams ends up on the Bears from the Panthers. That might end up being one of the worst trades in NFL history, but we don't have to talk about the Panthers right now. But the other thing is, coming away from this game, are you more impressed with the Dolphins or more disappointed in the Broncos?
It's hard to say because I was already pretty high on the Dolphins and low on the Broncos. I would say probably high on the Dolphins.
I think that's the right answer.
Yeah, because the Broncos do have a good defense. That even going back to last year.
As someone who owns Raheem Mostert in fantasy, you're thinking, well, the Broncos defense, like, that's a solid defense. Like, I don't want to go against that. It was kind of weird with the betting line all week. It got down to 5.5 at one point. And you're like, man, like, maybe Denver pulls this out, makes this an ugly game. No, it was an ugly game, but just in the opposite way. 70-20. 70 points on a defense. That's not okay. That's not no. The backup came in and was dicing them up. So the Dolphins, they've got to be the favorite right now to win the AFC East, right?
Oh, I would think so. I don't know off the top of my head, but I don't see why not. The Bills have looked good since that Monday night game. The Bills have looked pretty good.
Yes. Yeah. No. It's Bills Dolphins. Like, we can transition now into the other AFC matchup was Pats Jets. I mean, talk about the most boring game of the day that ended in almost the Jets winning on a Hail Mary right there. If you watch Robert Saleh's press conference, it's very clear he hates Zach Wilson. Like, it's very, very, very clear. And why should he not? He's a bad quarterback. It's over. It's over. Like, everyone knows it's over. Sign Cam Newton at this point. Like, why does it even matter? Like, if you're a Jets fan, yes, you have your first round pick. Great. But, like, you have an awesome team. Like, go get one of these journeyman quarterbacks like a Cam Newton or, not Josh McCown because he's the Panthers QB coach, but, like, someone like that. You need to go. I think you go after this.
Yeah, I know a certain someone in some purple that would look really good in that forest green, averaging like 500 yards a game.
Let's put Dylan Wilkerson as Jets GM. What are you giving up to get Kirk Cousins on your football team?
The facility, the state. I'm giving away MetLife Stadium. I'm not even asking the Giants for permission.
Okay, but nobody wants MetLife Stadium. That's one of the worst stadiums.
I'll throw in a free dinner at Le Bernardin in Manhattan. How about that?
What about like picks and stuff, players? Like, what would you be seriously willing to give up?
I don't know. I'm no good at any of this trade stuff, but I would say
4 first-round picks.
No shot. I wouldn't go that much because his contract is up at the end of the year, so it's like it would be like a rental almost. And then I don't know if they want to keep him, they can keep him, but they have Aaron Rodgers waiting.
Would you be willing to give up your first round pick next year to get him as a rental for the rest of the season?
I don't know. Starting at 1 and 2, I don't know. That's tough. I don't 1 and 1
in the division's not that bad.
And you already have a win against the Bills. You know what? Sure. Just because it's hypothetical, yeah, I would do it.
Because you got to think of, if you're the Vikings, no way you do it, right?
I wouldn't think so. Who's their backup?
Jaron Hall, BYU.
There we go. Yeah.
So maybe they would. They got a better guy at quarterback sitting behind Kirk Cousins. But the Pats Jets game today, just gross. And for some reason, shame to YouTube TV because the quad boxes were terrible today. Every single quad box had to have Jets Pats in it. It was terrible. YouTube TV, it's a disaster showing by not being able to let us choose. I know there's some network thing that doesn't let us do it, that let us choose our games. Whatever. That's besides the point. The quad boxes were so bad today.
And it's like there was one point to where I think there's a game I wanted to watch. I couldn't remember. Maybe it was Vikings Chargers, and every single one was paired with Broncos Dolphins. And I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. Why are you force feeding this game down my throat? It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, and I have some first world problems because I was having Red Zone on the main TV because the Panthers didn't play till the afternoon. So I was like, okay, we quad box the other TV. We'll put Red Zone on the main TV because I'm not really focused in on one specific game as much. I want to see as much as I can. But one of them had a Red Zone in the quad box, but the Red Zone was 5 minutes further ahead than the Red Zone on the TV.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I'm seeing Red Zone 2 minutes ahead up in this tiny corner up there on my other TV, and I was like, this sucks. So I had to only choose quad boxes that didn't have Red Zone on it.
We paid too much money for this, Carter, to have these problems.
I know. $300 down the drain.
I can't believe it. Did you call Scott? Let him know.
I'll give him a. I'll hit him up on MySpace. But yeah, Jets Pats. I don't even care to talk about it anymore. Just gross. It's exactly what we thought. 15-10. That makes sense. The Pats were always going to win that game.
Safety alert.
Yeah, there was a safety. So rest in peace to everyone's parlays. Are like, no safety in this game. Like then it got destroyed. Then before we move on, a lot of the these betting accounts today were tweeting out like, oh, heavy public on this side, and then that public side still won. For example, the Seattle Seahawks were like the most public team this week, and of course they still won. And so you're like, oh well, did the books lose a ton of money today? No, they made their money back, and that was in the Cowboys Cardinals game.
Ooh, tough one. That's tough.
Yep. Cardinals won 28-16. Maybe the funniest result today because you know how many people probably lost thousands and thousands of dollars betting the Cowboys live money line at even odds during this game?
So, a glimpse into my life. Halftime, I take the Cardinals because I have the Cowboys in my survivor pool. I bet on the Cowboys to cover 12.5. So, you know what? This is a good time to get out. Good time to get out. If the Cardinals win, I can break even. I'm out survivor, but that's okay. The Cowboys got the ball at half. They drive right down the field. I live bet the Cowboys. I pretty much canceled it out. It was not my best moment, but I was looking at college football lines for next week. The numbers were just mushing together. I was like, oh, what in the world? So yeah, that was me. I was that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think America was that guy because you're thinking, no way this Cowboys team is about to lose to the Cardinals like this, and Vegas just cleaned up. I mean, the sports books just cleaned up on that game. I should pat myself on the back real quick. Had nothing in that game. Not one single iota in that game.
Good for you. Good for you, Carter.
Another game I didn't have anything on, Bears-Chiefs, another blowout, 41-10. Also maybe one of the funniest results today. CBS had this game, right? Yes.
I think so, yeah.
CBS, we need to calm down on showing Taylor Swift after touchdowns and freaking out. I mean, the commentator we were going to have to get the commentator some new pants after showing Taylor Swift because they were freaking out.
I don't know. As a football fan and a Swiftie, I can get behind it. I can get behind the Taylor Swift.
I'm not an anti-Swiftie, but in their defense, it was a 41-10 game. But did Taylor Swift celebrate a little too much after that touchdown by Travis Kelce that made it 41 points? Because let's be honest, guys, kind of a garbage touchdown.
You're right. I've seen so many colloquialisms.
This raises the even bigger question: does Taylor know ball?
I would say no, and that leads me to the bigger question: what are the ramifications of this Taylor Kelce crossover? Is it more football fans become Swifties? Is it more Swifties become football fans? Is it a hybrid of both? Because there are going to be some ramifications of this. I just don't know what they're going to be.
I think a little bit of both happens, but what happens in every Taylor Swift relationship? Eventually she breaks up with the dude and writes a song about it. I think a lot of Swifties are going to become mega anti-football. It's going to come around if this doesn't work out.
Abby just texted me. She could hear me. She said she thinks Swifties are going to become football fans.
I would agree.
I
think that's short term though. I think that's a short term investment for football fans. Unless if this relationship works out, then yes. But if this relationship does not work out, I think we're going to see a lot of Swifties and a lot of their fans start hating the Kansas City Chiefs. Like you know who's going to get who's going to get caught in the crosshairs of this all if they end up breaking up? is Jackson Mahomes.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Every Swifty's just going to try and kill Jackson Mahomes if they do break up. He's going to be the target for all their hate on the Chiefs, and Travis Kelce.
What if Taylor breaks up with Travis for Jackson?
I would say the odds of choose my words carefully, Carter.
Jackson might not be interested.
How about no?
Okay, yeah.
choose my politically correct words carefully. But yeah, they were showing Taylor Swift like every play, and by all means, I went to her concert. I paid my hard-earned money to go to that concert, so I went. Great concert, great performance. Put on a better performance than the Chicago Bears today. They suck. Justin Fields stinks like rotten eggs. The whole team stinks. They were having weird stuff come out all week about their coaches, what was true, what wasn't true. Who knows? This team is legitimately staring 1-16, 2-15 right down the throat.
Yeah, everything about him is bad. Justin Fields doesn't look great. It's never good when your team throws the coach under the bus. I think that just sets an awful precedent for how the season's going to go. Yeah, Bears are in for a long season, and I don't even know what the answer is. I really don't.
But yeah, they got to tear it all down. They got to tear it all down, rebuild. Going to be a gross rebuild, and you got to do it the right way. If they get a bad enough pick in this draft, I mean, you're going to have the Panthers pick, which should be a top 10 pick. You're also going to have your pick, which should be 1 or 2 probably. It's not a bad spot. Like, yes, it sucks sucking for another season as a Bears fan and seeing like Jordan Love fit right in Green Bay. But honestly, this is the best thing that's going to happen to Bears fans, because then it's going to be an issue. And we should talk about this right now is Bears fans, if they get Drake May, the Mitch Trubisky comparisons are going to be running wild. Another Carolina quarterback coming in as the number 2 overall pick.
Oh, man. We have to get Connor on that one. We have to see. We got to get Connor's thoughts on that one.
Yeah, we'll get a Tar Heel correspondent on that one. Real quick, I'm going to round through some of these games. We can, if you want to talk about them more. Bills blow out the Commanders. The Bills are just good. Commanders, I think Sam Howell exposed a little bit today. I don't think he's a bad quarterback by any means. I know I'm wearing a Duke shirt, Duke guy, whatever. I don't think Sam Howell's a bad quarterback. I just think the Bills just are good. I mean, they're just a good team.
Yeah. Bills, I just updated my rankings. Bills number 1 team. Really bad showing on Monday Night Football. Blow out the Raiders week 2. Blew out the Commanders week 3. The defense is great. It's always been great. Never been a question about it. The only question has been Josh Allen. Josh Allen might have a little bit of the Kirk Cousins, just the little primetime jitters. That I'm not ruling that narrative off the table. So, but yeah,
also,
Bills
just
are good.
Weird overall game at MetLife that night against a really, really good Jets defense. You can't put too much into that.
No, I agree with you. Bills are good. I wouldn't worry if I were the Commanders or Sam Howell.
Colts Ravens. Colts win in overtime 22-19. Also another weird result today, but this doesn't change my opinion about either team. Yes, maybe the Colts could win 7-8 games, maybe have a little fun run in the AFC South and compete, especially if Anthony Richardson comes back. Gardner Minshew's an awesome backup. That's who the Jets need to go after. Throw a 4th round pick at Gardner Minshew, because they would be just fine. They would squeak into that wild card if they had him. But this doesn't make me feel bad about the Ravens either. I think the Ravens are going to be fine. They have one of these stinkers every year.
Yeah, Ravens pretty injury laden too right now. So you give and take. I actually think watching the Colts, it makes me a little worried about my under 6.5 wins, because I think they look a little bit better than Zach Moss has been an amazing replacement for Jonathan Taylor, and Zach Moss wasn't even that good with the Bills, which I believe that's where he came from. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. Doesn't change much. If anything, I'm a little bit higher on the Colts, but I think the Ravens will be just fine, especially if the Bengals are keep being as bad as they have been.
Moving on, you talked about injury laden. The Carolina Panthers lose 27-37 at Seattle. I was actually going to go to this game. Glad I didn't. Real quick in this game, I wasn't that impressed with Seattle in this game. I think it was more of a testament to just Carolina's defense getting injured throughout the game. 7 out of 11 starters are out for Carolina's defense. Andy Dalton looked fine. He looked fine. Yeah. I don't think he looked great by any means, but he looked fine, and it showed what a fine quarterback can do in this offense. tough road game. We had 10 false starts. 10 false starts in this game. 5 of them by our left tackle. 5 false starts. You can't have that.
I have nothing of substance to add for this because I was triple boxing this one, and I was focusing more on Cowboys, Cardinals. But anytime I checked in on this game, it just seemed like the score doesn't reflect this, but it seemed like both teams just like couldn't move the ball. Like it was almost painful to watch. I feel like every time I tuned in, it was either a punt or they weren't getting the ball down the field. I don't know. But yeah, injuries hurt for the Panthers, that's for sure.
Yeah, you lose Frankie Louvu, and that's when you knew the game was over. I sat there and I said, do I live bet against the Panthers this week? I know you always say, money shows no loyalties. And I said, no, I can't do that. But then Connor texts me and goes, hey, we should honestly probably take Kenneth Walker anytime touchdown at halftime. Plus 240 cash, easy cash. We hammered it. I don't feel bad about that at all because Panthers they just ran out of gas. That's what it was. But yeah. I was optimistic after this Panther game. It's not all hell's breaking loose. We got to see some downfield throws, some big plays by the wide receivers. DJ Chark looked really good. Like the run game's very much a concern, but tough road game. I'm not that upset. Kitchen sink game next week against the Vikings. It's technically probably the second worst game of the week if you go based off records because Bears Broncos next week is going to be the worst game of the week, maybe of the season. But Panthers Vikings is going to be a fun game next week.
I'm excited for it. Definitely contrasting play styles. So we'll have to see which one comes out on top.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on real quick. We already talked about the Broncos Dolphins. Titans Browns. Your Titans got just schmanged. I mean, diddled left, right, and straight.
Yeah, I figured out today I'm not really that loyal to them. Like the first quarter ended, halftime. It's like I was like, I'm just not watching this. There's nothing worse than watching a team, not even just your team, but a team that can't move the ball. And the Titans can't do it. It's just as simple as that.
That's the Jets. Like watching the Jets, they physically cannot move the ball, even against like average defenses, not even like good defenses. Like at least the Browns are a good defense.
Yeah, it's just miserable. So,
Henry, rough day,
and we only play well against teams that don't defend well against the run. Hence why we beat the Chargers. We have the Bengals next week. I don't even care who's playing quarterback. We're gonna get stomped by them. They have our numbers. So, yeah, sad day to be a Titans fan. That's for sure. But maybe we'll turn something around. Something I did want to ask. This is more of an overarching theme. When it is obvious that teams like the Titans, teams like the Patriots, they don't have a great roster, right? They have a couple good pieces. The Patriots probably have less than the Titans do. At what point do we say this is the head coach's fault? Like, when do we start pointing blame to Vrabel, or do we? Because we've never had a good passing offense. We've never had a good passing defense. That is nothing. Nothing has changed. So when do we look at Vrabel and say, okay, maybe he's the problem, or do we write it off and say, well, we have a 38-year-old at quarterback. We have our star players are running back, probably where there's the least positional advantage. Curious to your thoughts on that, because I'm a Vrabel guy.
I don't think this is on Vrabel at all. I think it's just a bad team. I think we knew this going into the season. Tannehill's not the guy. He's on the, you go up, you're at Carowinds, you go up the Intimidator and then you're going down, and he's going down right now. It's over. Like the Tannehill time is done. He'll be a backup, spring around a couple times.
The problem, Carter, is we're not on the Intimidator. We're on Fury 325, and we got bolts coming loose on the top of the hill. Like that, we're using duct tape to put the bolts back into place.
Yeah, as a Panthers fan, I know this. Sam Darnold is Flex Seal. Him and Baker Mayfield they should just be the face of Flex Seal. You see those infomercials late night when you're watching like Hawaii versus New Mexico State on CBS Sports Network. That's what that is. They should just be the head faces, and Tannehill should just join that group because it is Flex Seal. I just don't think you got to start with. I don't think this is a coaching thing. I think it just opens up the question: at what point does Tannehill get benched? When do you finally bench Tannehill?
I don't know. I don't even know. I'll be honest, and that's another question I have. I have these deep philosophical thoughts to myself. Like these teams that can't move the ball, Panthers, Patriots have some trouble, Titans. what is the issue? I will give Tannehill the benefit of the doubt today. The offensive line was awful. Dude had no time.
I think that answers your question of why can't they move the ball is the offensive line.
But different situations, that's not the case, right? So,
but let's talk about each of these teams. Like the Titans O-line, you said it's bad. The Panthers, a big reason why they can't move the ball is they have the highest pressure rate in the league. They are the worst offensive line right now so far, besides the Bears, maybe.
Yeah, and I guess maybe you're making that point. I don't know. I know I can go on PFF and look at offensive line ratings, but there's just like these teams. Like, is it the wide receivers not getting open? You can tell when a quarterback makes a bad throw just while watching him. It's just something I think about, and I don't know. I think the Titans, it's the offensive line. Skoronski's been out the last 2 games, and we had Tier Tart gambling thing, but I don't want to spend too much time on the Titans. It's very sad, and I hope we turn it around. There's still time to turn it around. Jaguars losing today really helps our case. So, yeah.
Last thing on the Titans-Browns real quick. Browns look good. Browns are legit. I mean, even without like having Kareem Hunt, Jerome Ford, they had Jerome Ford obviously. Without having Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt coming in late, Jerome Ford playing great today, like Browns are legit. They look like a playoff team to me.
Yeah, I think I had them over 9.5. So we'll see. They didn't look great on Monday Night Football though. I didn't think.
No, but that was on the road at Pittsburgh. That's a tough game. And then also, I mean, in that Monday night game too, your running back has, one of those Paul George gross like injuries that goes viral, and that just creates a weird mood for your team.
Yeah, I get that.
All right, real quick, you talked about Jags Texans. Texans blow out the Jags 37-17. They look good. The Texans look good, man. They dominated that game. Like, obviously, you look at the box score, they got a lot of yards. Turnovers here and there, blah, blah, blah. Screw you, Travis Etienne, for not scoring a touchdown today. Tank Bigsby vulturing that one from the 1-yard line. So very upset about that. But Tank Dell was a dog today, 5 receptions, 145, and a touchdown. Big win for the Texans. But guess what? I still don't like either of these teams.
Yeah, it's what you get with the AFC South, honestly. It's just...
And same with the NFC South. You just feel gross after watching their games.
Yeah, and they all just kind of beat up on each other. Everybody ends up 8-9, 9-8. Jaguars, to me, the score did not reflect how this game went. I don't know if the Jaguars should have won, but it definitely should have been 20 points. Jaguars outgained Houston 404 to 366. The Houston was a benefactor of a fumble and an interception. So I am not overreacting on this. I don't think Houston's that good of a team still. Jaguars might be a little worse than I expected. I think everybody kind of took their playoff run last year, the comeback against the Chargers, the beating the Titans last game of the season, and ran with it a little bit. I think that the AFC South might be a little more even from what I thought. Like the Colts and the Texans might be a little bit better, but I also think the Jags might be a little bit worse, and the Titans are just in the middle. So, yeah, this game, it surprised me that the Jags lost, but on paper, I mean, Jags outgained them, turned the ball over. You're gonna lose games if you turn the ball over.
100% agree. I don't have much more to add. I'm not overreacting to that one whatsoever. Last 2 games we didn't really get to talk about. We can just roll through this really quickly because I want to do week 2 look-ahead lines. Falcons, Lions in Detroit. Desmond Ritter's a bad quarterback. That's really the storyline coming out of this game is Falcons defense is fine. It's a serviceable defense. They're not bad. Jared Goff, Lions get the job done. That's what, if you're the Lions, hey, we got the win. You get out. Great. Desmond Ritter, that's a problem now. They need to be in the quarterback market too. Of even getting one of these Flex Seal guys, they have a shot at winning the division because they need a guy that can just throw 10-yard passes. They don't need deep shots. I mean, Ritter can't even do that. It's that bad. Desmond Ritter is not the guy. And every person who was on these NFL talk shows off season, like Desmond Ritter making great strides. Have you seen his footwork? All those stupid like QB school YouTube videos. Tired of that. I'm so tired of that. I don't want to see it. The Ritter experience is over. He's a bad quarterback. Doesn't mean the Falcons can't win games because of the run game, but Desmond Ritter, bad quarterback.
Yeah, I'll be honest, did not watch a snap of this game unless it showed up on Red Zone. But
Huh?
looking at the box score, it looks like the Lions took care of them. 119 penalty yards for the Lions. 119, and they still beat them by that much.
It wasn't
That's
even close.
impressive.
It wasn't
That's
even
impressive.
close. Last game we'll talk about. We're recording right now in the middle of Steelers Raiders. Steelers are up 10-7 with 3:31 left in the second quarter. They're driving right now. I may have it behind. It may be a bigger score than that. I just looked like 2 minutes ago. But we're not going to really talk about that game because there's not really too many implications from that game. I feel like whatever happens in that game, especially if it's close, we're going to feel the same about either team no matter what. Last game, Saints at Packers. So weird thing, housekeeping item for the podcast. The Packers on the parlay graphic said -2. Now, when the podcast came out Thursday afternoon, the Packers were +1. It was the money line. Therefore, do we get to count the Packers as a cash? Because I also took the money line.
I don't know. We gotta let the people decide. I think maybe we have to run a Twitter poll.
Maybe. I think it should. I think it should count. I know it didn't look great on the graphic because I did create the graphic Tuesday night before we recorded. I created the graphic Tuesday night. I didn't get to change that graphic at all, and I posted it today when the line was +1.5 today on Sunday. But even on Thursday, it was +1 or even down to 1 or money line. So we'll let the people decide. I like to count it and say we're up for the season now. And that was a nice 6-unit cash there because that really saved the day for me.
I think the pick and spirit was correct. I think that, the Packers was the right side.
It was the right side. Even though they were down 17-0, Jordan Love came back as a dog like he is. Packers won 18-17. Man, I love this Packers team, dude. Like, I love this Packers team. Every Bears, Lions, Vikings fan listening to this just, gross, F you. Well, how could you ever say that about the Packers? Like, man, I believe in this Jordan Love dude, man. Like,
yeah,
he is, like, this is going to be the formula in the NFL from now on is people, especially if he really, like, takes them to a playoff spot, these teams are going to start putting these first-year guys out for a year, maybe 2, if they can play him at the end of the season when it might not matter as much. The problem is if you're a bad team and you're a coach, you got to save your job and chuck that rookie out there when he's not ready.
Yeah, I hear that, and we touched on this.
Only stable organizations can do it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Someone that already has a good quarterback, and he has looked a lot better than he has the last 2 years when he's had to step in and fill Aaron Rodgers' shoes because of injury. So most of us were pretty high on the Packers anyway. I don't know watching this game what this says about either team. I couldn't tell you if the Saints are good or not.
The Saints, I think the Saints are. The problem is now that Derek Carr's out for multiple weeks, and now it's the Jameis Winston show, which is phenomenal for content. I mean, for us, this is like, yes, please, dream come true. Jameis Winston time. We get to talk Jameis Winston on here, but the Saints, Jameis Winston, he's not going to win that many football games. He'll win you 1 out of 3. So the defense is elite. And that's why I come out of this game, not as much as like hate for the Saints because Derek Carr's out, weird game for them. But for the Packers, they came back and responded without Aaron Jones, without Christian Watson, and won this game being down 17-0 against one of the best defenses in the NFL. I'm really high on the Packers after this game. It was an ugly win, looked really bad in the first half, but getting a win out of this game being down 17-0, that's what you need to see. Just get the win and get out. Things will, get better once you have Aaron Jones, once you have Christian Watson come back. Packers very high on. I think this Thursday night game against the Lions is going to be an all-timer.
Yeah, it'll be a very good one, and I'm with you. Love, especially in the NFC North. Lions are really the only competition right now, record-wise. That could change, but Thursday's going to be a good one.
But this is going to be a theme going on for the following weeks now. Nobody loves CLV, closing line value, more than anybody than Dylan Wilkerson. So we're going to do week 2 early lines, not week 2, early lines for the following week. This can be college or NFL. Dylan, give us a few lines that we should look ahead to next week and be like, ooh, I can grab this number now. It's Monday morning when I'm listening. Let's grab this number now.
Oh, man, let's see.
I like Jags -3 against the Falcons.
Yeah, like, and that seems.
Now,
Yeah.
I don't think that line moves as much. I don't think you're going to get value. I think that stays around 3.5, 2.5 around there. I don't think that gets up to 4. I don't think that gets below 2 unless injury news comes out. I think that stays at 3, but I like that play.
Yes, another one, Panthers +3. I think if Andy Dalton plays again, that's probably a better option than Bryce Young. And I'm not trying to be funny and diss on your guy. I really do think that.
No, I think it is. I think it is a better option at this point. I don't want to, a questionable Bryce Young out there.
And this is very much a game where the Vikings can win, last minute field goal. Maybe the luck turns their way a little bit this season. Commanders and Eagles.
Steelers -3.
I don't know. That tempts me a little bit. We'll see how this game ends, but fading Houston after their win probably would not be a bad idea.
Okay. Do you have any in the NFL that you like so far that you've seen, and you're like you're looking at the board, you're like, ooh, bang, I see that one, I like that. Because I know there's one you like. If you need me to bring it up, but I'll let you think about it for a second.
I'm seeing 7 with the Commanders against the Eagles. That divisional away dog getting a touchdown. Commanders coming off of a bad loss. I love that one. Bills -2.5 right now against the Dolphins. I know we just talked about how good the Dolphins are, but I can't imagine it's easy to go from Miami where it's hot and humid, score 70, and then try to do something similar against a divisional rival that is probably one of the best teams in the NFL. And you're going to have to hit me at the other one, the one that I like.
Raiders at Chargers. Chargers -4.5.
Yeah, Raiders win that game. Raiders win that game.
I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, I love it. That one, once the Sunday night game ends, the lines will be up officially. I will be all over the Raiders. I think Josh Jacobs' rushing prop probably would be worth it as soon as you can get it too. That one's only going to go up once it's posted. So, yeah, love the Raiders next week.
Yeah, I also kind of like the Jets next week. I know that's forbidden words on this podcast, but I like Jets at home Sunday night. Like, that defense is really good. I think that's the bench Zach Wilson game. I think Zach Wilson gets benched in that game, and that's why we see some chicanery with the spread. Gonna wait on that one though. I'm gonna wait. The only one I think I would take right now, I think the Raiders line. I think I like the Bengals because I think we might see a positive Bengals showing on Monday night. Let's say they come out, decent without Joe Burrow. That line's going to move up to 4.5, 5 if they look good against the Rams tomorrow night.
The Bengals have owned Tennessee too. Even the years that Tennessee's been pretty good, they've just. I remember 2021. I went to the game in Cincinnati, and the Bengals won like 5 games, and they beat us big time. So. Yeah, I can't blame you for betting the Bengals.
All right. And then in college football, early lines I like right now. I think some of these actually might move. Take BYU right now. BYU, I think they open at -1.5. It's up to 3. I could see this going up to 4, 4.5. Give me the Cougars at home in Provo. Big 12 home opener, Friday night ESPN game. BYU plays so much better on Friday night games. They do not perform well in day games. That is a true theory. BYU fans will try to not agree with that, try and say, oh, that's just ridiculous. That's a stupid thing. You're saying they can't play during the daytime. They 100% can play during the daytime or during nighttime. They stink during the day. Give me BYU -3, -2.5, whatever you can get that number at before it jumps up to 3.5 and you get hooked there. Give me the Cougars. And then also Kansas. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, baby. I love the Jayhawks against the Texas Longhorns in Austin. Kansas +17. Going to sprinkle the money line as well. They beat my Cougars this week. They are a legit program. They are a legit team. Texas is obviously good. They're the best team in the Big 12. There's no doubt about that. But I sneaky think this Kansas team might be the best team Texas has played this year so far.
I'm actually on the opposite side of you with BYU. I love Cincinnati. We can get into it Wednesday when we give our picks. But if you like Cincinnati, I would get it now at 3. I don't think it goes up. I think it's only going to get closer to a pick 'em. So Cincinnati, yes. Kansas as well. Kansas is going to run all over Texas. Their offensive line, I think, is like top. I think it's the 3rd rated by PFF for run blocking. Yeah, I mean, Kansas is just going to be able to control time of possession by running the ball. Love Kansas here. Outright, 18.5. Love it all. And then one more that I really like, Jacksonville State plays Sam Houston State. Sam Houston State just doesn't want to play offense. Defense is great, but for some reason they just don't want to move the ball. So Jacksonville State, again, another run-heavy team, I think is going to be able to run over Sam Houston State. It's 4.5. I got it 4.5. It might be 5.5, 6 some places now. I'd get it before 7 because I think it's heading that way.
Perfect. I love it. We'll tweet out more. We'll be back Wednesday with more picks. We don't have to go through more college football, but Kansas is the theme of this show. If you need a week early line, go get Kansas right now. Monday night game, I like Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. I don't know. Have fun. We'll figure it out. We'll tweet out picks tomorrow or something like that. But anyhow, all right. Thank you for listening, Dylan. Thank you for coming on Sunday night. We'll be back Wednesday night, Thursday morning for our preview, all picks, all that good jazz. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Wilkerson A. Dylan, at Karter BA, at KarterCast on everything. And then Wednesday, yeah. Oh, last thing. That's what I forgot about. Dylan, you might need to get to bed.
It's gonna be an early morning.
It's currently 10 p.m. Eastern time. Our friend Dylan, shout out Kentucky, I guess, or Vanderbilt. I don't know who you want to shout out. He'll be up at 5 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, running 2 miles for 5 days straight.
It's brutal, very brutal. 2 pick sixes. Vanderbilt was the right side.
Vanderbilt was the right side. Vanderbilt was the right side. I watched a good chunk of that game. Vanderbilt was the right side. And the other thing is, I'll let you know right now, a little secret into this next week's show. Connor and I agreed the punishment has to be between Connor and I this week. It can't be between you're done. You've had your punishments. You've taken it on the chin. You've done your time. It's gotta be on Connor and I this week.
That's very nice, you guys. You're good Samaritans over there.
Yeah. So I kind of want to make this a brutal one. We'll stay tuned for Wednesday. We'll be back. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see y'all next time. Dylan, thank you for coming on again. Subscribe. Bye-bye.